Hey class, so part two of this oil pastel blending example. I think I'm going to start off with taking a little chance here, taking a little risk, have my little Bob Ross moment where it feels like I'm going to destroy it, and maybe actually it makes the image. So we'll see, we'll try it out. So we started getting down kind of our initial layers. We haven't totally blended everything yet, so that's what we're going to do next is continue blending. So again, if you'll come to the other camera, you'll see what we've got so far. We start with some highlights here and here, some shadows underneath the sphere and at the top of the sphere. And now we've just got some more blending to do. I got out this yellow initially, and I never ended up using it, and I think I'm going to take a little chance with it. I think what I'm going to do is kind of where I have this white going into the green. I think that might look better with some yellow in between the two. So I'm going to try. I'm going to go with it, and we'll see what happens. So I'm going to start with this scumbling. Again, that loose scribbling kind of a stroke. And I'm just going to start to get some of this yellow in here. Instead of just straight white into green, I think I want to have like an in-between color. It just feels like it needs a little something. I don't think that white into green, that color looked too cool to me. And so I'm using this yellow to try to warm up that little transition there. I think it will look nice if I do that. So here we go. A little yellow into the white and a little yellow into the green. Again, just scumbling, loose scribbles. These aren't quite as loose as some of my other ones because I'm trying not to mess it up right now. But I think this is going to look fine. Then I'm going to extend that yellow up a little higher into this green. And probably what I'll have to do is pull the green back down into the yellow like we did earlier. We're going both directions. We're working the light color into the dark color and then the dark color back into the light one. So we'll probably do that. Yeah, that helps some, right? Like, just letting the yellow kind of sneak up in there a little further. And doing the same thing with the green and letting it kind of pull down into the white a little further. All right, I don't think that's half bad. But what I am gonna do, you can see I got a ton of green on that yellow, so I'm gonna clean that off just with a tissue because I do wanna blend that white and yellow together a little more too. I'm trying to get all the green off of there. And I got my Stitch Band-Aid. Woohoo! Disney rubber Band-Aids, those are the best. So this bottom part here where the yellow meets the white, we're gonna blend those together a little bit too. Just to kind of finish off that transition, the white into the yellow and then the yellow into the green is kind of what I'm trying to create here. I wasn't as big a fan of just the white into the green. It didn't look quite right to me. All right, I think that looks better, and I think it does look like it has kind of another layer of interesting colors and values going on now. So let's see. I'm just kind of having fun getting this worked in here a little bit. Let's get it up here a little bit too, maybe. Just little bits. Okay, I'm going to switch back to that light green. Where's my light green? And I'm going to just barely work it back down into the yellow, very loosely. Again, loose scumbling, and just letting these colors blend together naturally just by the sheer fact that you're layering them on top of each other. I don't have to press too hard because I already have a good bit of pigment down. When you first put it on the paper, sometimes you'll have to press a little harder, but at this point, everything's going on super smooth because there's all that oil pastel already on the page, so I just barely have to even touch the page with it to get it where I want it to go. All right. So I think that looks nice towards the bottom here. Just a couple of marks. All right, and I'm going to take that back up. Maybe what I do is bring some more of that yellow up into this darker green area too. Just little touches of it. Because I do like that it adds that little bit of warmth. So I'm just gonna let that happen a little bit more. Sorry if you hear anything. There's some people walking by in the hall. Hopefully I don't get interrupted again. Let's see here. Yeah, just pulling that up, adding a little warmth here and there. Okay. Then go back with light green. That's all it is. It's a lot of this, so much of this is just a back and forth. Your lighter color into your darker color, and then your darker color back into your lighter color. That's a lot of what this process is. Just checking to make sure my camera's still on, because that cut off on me earlier. It looks like it's good. Please, batteries don't die. I think they're getting low. Okay. Not perfect, but it's looking good. All right, this dark green, I'm gonna try to hurry and get back on here a little better. Oh yeah, that feels so smooth going on there now. That's a good feeling. That's when you kind of know that you're getting close to done, because it just starts to glide right on the page. Glide right along those other oil pastels that you've already got down. That's a lovely feeling. Kind of like that feeling when your scissors start to glide through the page, you know, like that real smooth cut. You don't even have to actually, you know, clasp them together anymore, and they just slide right through. That's kind of what this starts to feel like once you got enough pigment down. All right, I think this is looking really pretty now. So once I get done with this little layer, I think I'm going to move into the background some more. We'll start to blend that background and build kind of our final shadows. I've kind of saved some of our darkest shadows for last at this point. There we go. I'm just putting a little pigment down here. We'll blend some of this, and we might do it by hand or by tissue in a minute. But just trying to make sure that transition's gradual and natural looking. Between that dark and light green. Okay. Then I think what I'll do is take some of this yellow actually into the background. And that way we have a little more contrast, especially with this dark top of the sphere. Just really loosely apply some yellow into that green. We want these colors to go right up together, run into each other, so that we're covering all the paper. Yeah, that looks better, I think. We'll let that come down here, and then I'll go back and blend it. I'll make that shadow stand out a little more too, because this will all be a little bit lighter. And back into the lighter green. Again, you're not coloring like with a crayon. This is just a loose scribble. Controlled scribble, I should say. Loose, not too loose. You'll find kind of your own rhythm with it and your own pace. All right. That's pretty good. We'll go back and reinforce the shadow a little more. And then we'll really do like the occlusion shadow next, which is that darkest part of the shadow. We haven't really done that yet. We've done this shadow and it's pretty dark. This is really still the cast shadow though. The occlusion shadow is just the very darkest part. I think I called this the occlusion shadow in the last video. It's technically not. Part of it is, but not the whole thing. The occlusion shadow would be the very darkest part of the shadow, and that's what I'm getting ready to put down. A lot of times with oil pastels, you want to be careful with your hands around making these little fingerprints. So you can set a little piece of paper on your paper that you rest your hand on. And that way you're not smudging your oil pastels everywhere on accident. So the occlusion shadow is going to be really, really close to the object. And it's just going to be the part where that object touches the surface. And that's always the darkest part of the shadow. That's called the occlusion shadow. So this is technically, this little thin black line would be considered the occlusion shadow, not the whole thing that not the whole dark green section. Oops. I'll have to touch up that white in a minute. All right, so there's our occlusion shadow. We have that little bit of variation where the shadow's a little darker there. I'm touching up the edge of these highlights, just bringing them out to meet that shadow. That looks a little better. Looks closer to finished. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start blending. I'm gonna start blending with my hands. So especially this back, I want the back to be pretty smooth and out of focus. And all I'm gonna do is use a really light touch. And I'm just gonna kind of create these little pools with the oil pastel. Like just pull it kind of away from the object. And that's just gonna soften it up. It's gonna give the background a little bit different texture than the foreground has. The foreground's gonna have more texture. The background's gonna have less, which will make the background look like it's, create the illusion that it's got like a bokeh effect, or if you've ever done photography and are familiar with that, or just that it's out of focus if you're not familiar with what that means. But it's kind of what this will do. You can see that's a lot smoother on this side than it is on this side, right? So that's what I'm doing right now. And also with my finger blending this, I'm able to get right up to the edge of the sphere, which is hard to do with pastels because they are so soft and they don't keep like any sort of sharp edge at all, like a pencil or a colored pencil does. So a lot of what you're doing with pastel is just laying the colors in kind of the area that you'll need them. And then you kind of have to blend them with your finger or with a tool, Q-tip or tissue or something to get them really where you want them, especially in the little detailed places. You see, this will get you messy. So just be aware of that. Not as messy as our ink that we were slinging recently. So that's good. But it still can get you messy, it still can get on your clothes, and it is hard to clean out. Pastels are hard to clean out. Oil pastels specifically are hard to clean out. There's other pastels called soft pastels, and they're more like chalk. So they're messy too, but they're easy to clean up. These oil ones just give you really brilliant, vibrant colors. Not easy to clean up though. All right, I'm gonna kind of blend just at the edges of this shadow. If you see what I'm doing, I'm not going all the way into the shadow, just like at the edge where that dark green meets that light green. I'm just kind of pulling it right there to soften up the edge of the shadow. That's called an antombra. That's where the shadow ends. It's where the light kind of starts to penetrate the shadow again. We'll do some studies with light and shadow, and I'll show you what I mean. But a lot of times the shadow has kind of layers to it. It has a darker part close to an object. Then it will have kind of like a main body of the shadow that's called the umbra. Then it will have a penumbra where the shadow starts to fade away, and an antombra where you can really tell that light's kind of getting back into the shadow. So we'll save all that for a different day, and we'll label those and stuff, but it's just a project where it kind of comes up naturally, so I'll go ahead and explain it to you. Okay, so this looks pretty good right now. I'm kind of liking that soft background. I would ask you guys to fill out the background on your project. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go in and kind of do the same thing, but in here, in some of these places where I still see a little paper, I'm doing even smaller strokes now. These are really, really tiny, just to fill in any spots where I still see paper coming through. What you want to do here, though, is just make sure that you're using a finger that doesn't have a different color on it, or it will start to get muddy. In places where you don't intend to blend colors, they'll start to blend. So you've got to be careful with that. So either wash that hand before you switch colors, or just use a different finger if you are comfortable with that, or a different tissue or whatever you're using to blend them. So you can see this part looks a lot smoother now. I'm gonna go in where the different colors meet. I'm gonna start to smooth those out, pull those together a little bit. Soften the whole thing up. And as you do this, this is where it will really start to look more like a painting than a drawing. That kind of becomes a sort of magical feeling moment where it's like, ooh, looks like an oil painting. Looks like something really fancy was done here, but really I was just kind of using crayons. So it's kind of a nice after effect of using oil pastels. So it looks like you did something different than you did. All right, now I'm gonna come and touch up that highlight a little more too. I think it could be a little stronger, so I'm gonna touch that back up. Get this little edge to come out a little more, I think. Hopefully my cameras are still going. Looks like they are, all right. At least one of them is, but it's not the one pointed at the paper, so, and I can't see that one right now. All right, so I'm gonna wipe some of that off my fingers. I'll do this bottom section. I'm gonna pull, usually I'll pull from the lighter color into the darker one. Just because if you do it the other way, a lot of times it'll get the lighter one too dark too fast. And then you'll have to go and redo some stuff. So let's see. It's a little back and forth right here because I've got a dark color. This is kind of where the shadow meets the highlight, so it's a little bit of a strange spot. I'm gonna pull that highlight back over top a little bit, I think. There we go, I like that. Just right at the edge, where the colors meet mostly. That's where I'm focusing on blending. See a little spot here where I'm still getting some of the paper coming through. And that's pretty good. Something else we can do with this if we want to. I won't do this in this one because it's gonna take too long. So we can seal this, and then we can go back over after we've sealed it. Oh no, I got some green in there on accident. We can go back over after we seal it, and we can reinforce some of the colors and make them even brighter or darker or whatever we want to do with them. It depends kind of what you're going for. So we can seal it. And what I mean by that is put a protective layer over this, and then anything that you do on top of it won't alter these colors at all. So these colors will stay in place, but you can add new color on top of it, and it won't smudge this and it won't blend with this. So it's pretty nice, so especially for your highlights, it can really add to those. So I am gonna do another layer of highlight here. Hopefully my big head's not blocking the camera. Just gonna touch up these highlights. Oh yeah, it's looking good. Getting close to finished here. And I'm gonna come in with this light green on the outside, just a touch, just a hair. Using my finger to try to touch it up. This is a little detail stuff that you can fuss with probably for hours if you wanted to try to get every little thing right. You guys don't have to get every little thing right. Some of you are perfectionists and you might want to do that, and that's okay. I tend to be that way with my art, but I know not everyone is. Some people would be totally happy with this and be like, man, this looks good and it's done. And that's okay. It does look good. This would be like an A, right? This is good. But if you want to spend more time on it and try to get a little more out of it, see if you can do a little more with it, that's okay too. This white's getting a little green on there that I don't want. I'm gonna try to go back over it. Just blend it into that dark green a tad. just so I can cover up the paper right here. There is still a little paper showing through. There we go. Again, kind of softening those edges where the two colors meet. I'll have to go back over it. Probably have to use the tissue for this one and kind of pull some of that green out. Again, sorry if you hear the voices. There's people in the hall. Yep. So there we go. We're getting kind of the shape of that highlight back. Got a little too much green in the white right there, but I can fix that. Okay. Go back to some of this dark in here. All right, there we go. I think that's looking pretty lovely. I'm going to touch up the white in the top one more time, and then I'm going to cut these videos off before they cut themselves off without my knowledge. So there's a little more highlight. We might do one more video of this where I show you how to seal it and how to do kind of your final highlights and really make this thing glow. But hopefully you can see this well, and hopefully that explanation helps you guys to be successful with your own oil pastel droplets. This is what I've got for now. We'll visit it one more time, probably by the end of this week. And if you guys have questions in class, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you guys in class. Thanks.